Did you ever think there is such a thing as an intersection between photography, presence, and childhood? Well, there is. And that's a place where you could spend some time with unexpected benefits. For starters, you would probably become a better photographer. And the second advantage, you will become aware of your own presence. And the third advantage, it will be for the little guy, which will take benefits of your presence. Photography came into my life a very long time ago. I was a student in Canada at the time, and I left for vacation, and I borrowed a camera from a friend of mine. When I came back from vacation, the same friend gifted me a camera for my birthday. Thank you, Vanessa, wherever you are. All of my life, I've been an observer, and photography fitted perfectly into that gap. As I was traveling across the world, I needed something to record what my eyes were seeing, and photography responded perfectly to that. With the arrival of Sarah, the little one, my photography shifted from a very complex digital camera-based photography onto phone photography. And there is a good reason for that. As you see over there, your hands are always busy with the kid. Well, the thing is, when you switch from that complex photography to something more simple, of course your subjects rearrange themselves. And you lose some, but you gain a lot others. Because the phone, it's getting smarter every day, and it's offering you more and more possibilities to express yourself photographically. The thing is that it fits into your pocket, as your hands always are busy, and you can just flip it open and take the picture that you want to take. Sarah came into my life, directly delivered into our bedroom. That's my wife over there. It's actually one of the first pictures I took with a phone. So when I take pictures, before I take any pictures, I try to answer myself to three main questions. The first one is why? Why do I want to record that particular moment? The second one, it's an emotional question, and it starts from how do I feel about it? And the third one is purely technical, and it's how am I going to record that? So in terms of photography, I have here an illustration of the rule of thirds. I use this, and don't worry, on your phones is already pre-programmed, so all you need to do is activate it. I have it on all the time. It solves a lot of issues. The second rule that I use is the usage of available light. When there's no more light, I don't do nothing special. I just take with what I have. Don't worry too much about the light, because you don't do photography for National Geographic. You will do it of your own childhood, so it's going to be something special. The third rule is going down to the same level as your kid. Looking at them like this all the time will only make them feel small, and they probably know that already. So you're not helping to the same. Besides, if you change the level of your photography, you will also change the angle, so the result could impress you. And the most important rule, tell your child what you're going to do. Sarah knows everything about photography in the sense that I always announce her, I am about to take a picture of you. And of course, that means that sometimes she says, I want to take a picture myself. So she's 3 years old. That will create the opportunity for a new phone, but I think that creativity needs to be encouraged. In terms of childhood photography, you're in a different ballgame. You have to remember that as adults, we appreciate our intimacy. It's very important for our kids as well. So be very mindful of exposing them publicly. As you will probably see, the only two pictures that expose Sarah's full face are the ones that you saw at the beginning, and that's all I will ever do in terms of public appearance for Sarah. The rest is as you see it, using the back and reflecting upon the story of childhood more than on the child himself. When I take pictures, I'm getting a connection with Sarah, and I let her decide the action. I would advise that you don't train your kids to respond to some imaginary thought about what photography should be. I think that you will lose a lot if you do that. If you let the action flow, then you will see that you will feel that particular moment when to start writing with light, because this is what photography is. You write with light. So basically, I'm talking about presence, about being connected to your child. And since we're talking about presence, this is the second intersection that created this opportunity for me to speak in front of you. And that intersection was between me and my wife. It was her desire to further evolve, which brought me to discover the books of Eckhart Tolle and ultimately to go to some of his retreats. Thank you, Gabriela. My wife was supposed to come here today with my child, but you know how it is with the kids. Plans change all the time. So, presence, what does it mean? It basically talks about that constant noise that we have in our heads. They could be worries about the past, unresolved issues, events that seemingly affected us, or projections about the future. What present tells you is that we're not those projections. You can easily escape them if you just become aware that that's going on. And you turn your attention towards something what's important. For example, for me, something what's important is probably looking up to me, trying to learn something new from me. So if you get caught into that, chances are it will happen, don't be harsh on yourself. Just take a deep breath, or take 10 deep breaths, and relax yourself. You will notice that if you don't follow the train thought, it will diminish itself and suddenly will disappear. When I take Sarah out, I let her decide what we're going to do. She's a full participant in everything we do. She knows the parks, she knows the geography of the places that are open for her to explore, and she decides. And out of that action, I start following on photography. I let the flow catch me, and with that flow, I will feel when I will take the picture. Here, Sarah was in an exhibition with some friends of mine, and I chose this particular picture because I thought it was very interesting in terms of how we can liberate ourselves through childhood. Because Sarah over here is, in my opinion, liberating somebody to rise above the mental noise. So that brings me to the third intersection, specifically to Sarah. She was born in our bedroom, and with it came childhood. And it's amazing. I mean, you probably either have kids or you heard stories about kids. Words are not enough to describe it, but it's probably the only place where we can build freedom and liberties. And they don't take a lot from us. All they need is connection. They need a connection with their parents. They need a connection with us to lead them, to show them the universe through their own questions, not necessarily through our own. So, what do we need to be better parents? First of all, to realize that this is an opportunity for us to grow, because that child over there will connect with the child inside me, and it will give me an opportunity to address issues in my childhood. And this is by no means criticizing my childhood. I love my parents, I love my brothers and sister. But at some point, I realized that the notions about love that I received from them were the notions about love that they received from their parents, and so forth. So once you realize that you need to address the issue of emotions. So children need to develop their emotional intelligence, and you can help them to do that. The emotional intelligence will generate social intelligence. I was listening to Professor Skolchak's presentation a couple of months ago, and he was telling me about an experiment that he did. He was in an academic meeting, and there were brilliant minds over there. So he wanted to test their social skills. And the age of those brilliant minds for their social skills was 5. And that's a bit scary if you think about it, because we consider ourselves to be adults, fully grown, and very responsible. But we lack essential things. So the child next to me is an opportunity for the child inside of me. In a way, you see, Sarah, she's 3 years old. And right now, her brain is only emotional. That's all she knows. I don't know if you ever heard of Daniel Siegel. He talks about, he's a neuroscientist, and he talks about the brain development in children. And it addresses the issue of how the brain develops. And it's surprising that most of us, we think in terms of go to your room, think about what you did, when actually that tool is missing for the child. He simply doesn't have it. The child is just emotions. All it wants is connection, love, careness, tenderness, understanding. Do you remember how hard it was for us to move and synchronize a forever growing body? I mean, Sarah is changing shoes every 2 months. Do you imagine how bad it is? I like those red shoes. Why can't I wear them anymore? Well, you grew out of it. But I like them. Let me try again. It doesn't work. So, in a sense, our kids live real lives. It is us, the adults, that live imaginary lives, because we are either concerned with the past, solving problems that we think that needs addressing, or we're making projections in a future about issues that might never happen. So for me, Sarah is my opportunity to grow. Not only to be a better parent, but to be a better human being. And for that, I thank her. Thank you.